There's a moment in every survivor's story when the fog lifts and everything suddenly makes sense. Not because the narcissist confessed, not because justice arrived, but because you finally saw it for what it was. That moment is clarity, and clarity is power. Today, we're not here to analyze narcissists. We're here to reclaim your energy, your presence, your peace. Because the truth is, narcissists don't fear your anger. They feed on it. What truly disrupts their game is awareness. Stillness, the kind of quiet, regulated strength that makes their manipulation useless. In this video, we'll show you how reactivity fuels their control, how regulation rebuilds your identity, and how one calm sentence can end the cycle for good. This is not about revenge. It's about release. It's about learning to be unshakable even when chaos surrounds you. And that's what daily motivation really is. The choice to return to yourself day after day, no matter who tries to pull you away. Stay with me and comment below if you've ever felt the shift the exact moment their tactics stopped working. Your story matters. Your silence can be power. And this is where the healing begins. Narcissists don't dominate through strength. They dominate through strategy. And their favorite strategy is simple. Get you to react. Not just once, but often. Not just outwardly, but internally. They want your heart racing, your mind spinning, your breath shallow. Because the moment you react, they're no longer the problem you are. They push you explode. They twist the narrative, you try to correct it. They say something cruel. You raise your voice, and suddenly the focus is no longer on their behavior. It's on yours. That's the loop. That's the hook. And that's how they keep control without ever raising their hand. But here's what breaks the cycle. Awareness, not loud awareness, not performative awareness, but still anchored presence. The kind that sees the game and chooses not to play. You don't owe anyone a reaction. That's where the shift begins. It starts the moment you realize that your nervous system isn't theirs to toy with, that your emotional clarity is not up for negotiation, that your energy, your breath, your peace is not their playground. This is the beginning of your return to yourself. And that return takes discipline. That's why we talk about daily motivation, not as hype, not as hustle, but as a practice. A daily commitment to stay grounded in your truth even when the chaos tries to drag you back into old patterns. It means waking up every day and saying, I will not abandon myself just to be understood. I will not respond just to be heard. I will not react just to be right. Narcissists don't fear your rage. They've studied it. They know how to bait it, flip it, and use it against you. But what they don't know how to handle is your silence, your calm, your refusal to be pulled. Stillness terrifies them because it means you've started seeing clearly, and when you see clearly the game is over, you're not asking, why are they doing this? You're saying, I know what this is. And once you know, you don't chase, you observe. You don't try to fix, you create space. You don't demand closure, you embody it. So take a breath right now. Deep, steady. Come back into your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your energy returning home. Because that's what healing sounds like. Not a scream, but a whisper. I'm done playing this role. Drop a comment below if you've ever felt that moment. The moment you knew your silence had more power than your words. Because in the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll talk about the body, the nervous system, and how to make that calm not just a moment, but a lifestyle. Your body knows before your mind does. Long before you say a word, your body responds. Before you even realize what's happening, your heart is racing, your breath is shallow, your stomach is tight. That's not random, it's your nervous system, and it's trying to protect you. Narcissists understand this better than most. Not consciously, not always with intention, but instinctively. They know how to trigger your body into chaos. That sharp tone, that sudden silence, that passive-aggressive phrase. It's not about logic, it's about disruption. Because once you're dysregulated, you're easier to control. But when you begin to notice your body, when you start catching that inner alarm before it spirals, you're no longer reacting from old wounds. You're responding from wisdom. And that shift changes everything. This is where daily motivation becomes something deeper than pushing through discomfort. It becomes about building a relationship with your own nervous system, learning the difference between truth and trauma, reconnecting with the signals you use to override, the tightening in your chest, the heaviness in your gut, the whisper in your intuition saying, "This isn't safe." When you're regulated, you hear those signals clearly. You trust them, and most importantly, you act on them. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. It means you respond with clarity, not panic, with presence, not fear. You create space between the trigger and your reaction. That space is where your power lives. It's where you make the conscious choice not to give them what they want, your energy. Because when you're grounded, you're unpredictable. You're no longer emotionally programmable. They can't poke at your wounds and get the same reaction. They can't twist your reality when you're anchored in it. A calm, regulated person is a threat to a narcissist because they can't play the game when you've stopped showing up for the match. So the next time you feel that emotional surge, pause. Breathe deep into your belly. Plant your feet on the ground. Say to yourself, "I am here. I am safe. I get to choose how I respond." Because daily motivation isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about standing still, standing strong, standing in your own energy while everything around you tries to pull you out of it. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when you finally speak, not from rage, not from fear, but from that deep, anchored place of truth, and how your calm voice can unravel the entire game. Calm truth is their collapse. There comes a point in your healing when you stop yelling, not because you've given up, but because you've woken up. You no longer need to explain what you know. You no longer beg to be understood. You simply speak your truth and let it stand on its own. This is where narcissists begin to lose control. Because what they expect, what they depend on is your emotion, your fire, your confusion. They've learned to manipulate that, but your calm, your steady presence, that's something they can't decode. Calm. Truth is like holding a mirror up to the storm. It doesn't attack, it doesn't plead, it just reflects. It says, "I see what's happening and I don't need to engage with it." And that more than any confrontation destabilizes them, because it removes the fuel. This is the power of daily motivation, not as noise, but as quiet conviction. It's waking up every day and choosing to speak from your truth, not your triggers. To say less, but mean more. To stop fighting for clarity and be clarity. When you speak calmly, you break the pattern. You take away their favorite tool. Chaos, no raised voice, no defensive energy, no spiral of proving and explaining, just still grounded truth. And truth doesn't need volume to be heard. In fact, it's the silence between your words that speaks the loudest. You might say something simple like, "I'm not available for this conversation. I see what's happening and I won't participate." Or simply, "Nothing at all." Because silence can be a boundary and stillness a decision. Narcissists feed on your reaction. If you give them drama, they'll flip it and frame you as unstable. If you cry, they'll become the victim. But when you stay composed, when you say only what's necessary, they lose their grip. You are no longer responding from survival. You're responding from sovereignty. And that is the point. Your calm truth isn't for them, it's for you. This kind of truth requires strength. It requires nervous system awareness, emotional maturity, and deep self-respect. And it doesn't show up by accident. It shows up through practice. Through the small daily decisions to stay with your breath, your boundaries, your body. That's daily motivation in its most honest form. Not always glamorous, not always loud, but always real. Because in part 4, we'll speak the sentence that signals the end of the cycle. A simple grounded phrase that makes it clear their game no longer works on you. If you're ready to end the loop, I'll meet you there. The sentence that ends the cycle. There is a moment, quiet but life-changing, when you stop explaining, stop hoping, and stop reacting. You see the pattern clearly. You feel the loop trying to pull you in again. But this time, Something in you says no. And with that no comes a sentence. A calm, direct sentence that doesn't beg, doesn't shout, and doesn't shake. I see what you're doing. And it won't work anymore. That's it. That's the door closing, not with force, but with finality. This sentence isn't meant to provoke. It's not a dramatic exit line. It's a declaration of awareness. You're not trying to expose them, convert them, or make them see. You're just done, and you don't need them to agree with your truth for it to remain true. What makes this sentence powerful isn't the words. It's the energy behind it, the calm, the clarity, the quiet confidence that says, I'm not confused anymore. I don't need closure. I am the closure. For someone who thrives on confusion, that clarity is terrifying. You're not supposed to notice the pattern. You're supposed to doubt yourself, over-explain, spiral into guilt. You're supposed to stay predictable, reactive, emotional, chasing peace through conflict. But this sentence breaks that entire structure. It says, I see the play. I know the role I've been cast in, and I'm stepping off the stage. That's why it works. This is where daily motivation matters most, because it takes daily practice to stay this rooted, to choose clarity over chaos, to walk away not in rage, but in peace. That kind of presence doesn't happen once. It happens every morning you decide to stay centered. Every moment you pause instead of react. Every breath you take that belongs to you, not them. When you say, I see what you're doing, you're no longer gaslighting yourself. You're trusting your instincts. You're choosing your perspective over their performance. And when you add, and it won't work anymore, you're drawing a line not in sand, but in stone. You're done decoding. You're done justifying. You're done bleeding energy into something that feeds on your exhaustion. This sentence is sovereignty in motion. So now I want to ask you, what would shift in your life if you said this, not from anger, but from anchored peace? What if you stopped defending your boundary and started embodying it? Comment below. It won't work anymore. Let that be your turning point. Because in part 5, we're stepping into the final phase, the quiet revolution of self, where healing doesn't roar but radiates, and where peace isn't the goal. It's the proof that you've returned home to yourself. Sovereignty is the final word. When you finally step out of the loop, it doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel like a movie ending or a grand breakthrough. Sometimes it feels quiet, even lonely. You're not yelling. You're not explaining. You're just done. And that kind of done is sacred. It means your body has stopped waiting for something that was never going to come. This is what healing actually looks like. Not revenge, not confrontation, not getting them back. It looks like walking away without needing to be right. It looks like protecting your peace without asking permission. It looks like taking a breath and realizing they don't get to reach you anymore. This is sovereignty. The calm in your chest, the clarity in your mind, the boundaries you hold not out of fear but because they reflect how deeply you now value yourself. This is what daily motivation truly is. Not just showing up to build muscle or crush goals. It's showing up to honor your nervous system, to stay regulated in the presence of chaos, to speak truth even when your voice shakes, to choose your energy over their approval, and when they come back, as they often do, trying to test the waters, reopen the loop, bait you into the old dance, you won't even flinch. Not because you don't feel anything, but because you've already felt it all. You've moved through the rage, the grief, the shame, and come out the other side. Quieter, clearer, stronger. You've stopped performing. You've stopped proving. You've stopped trying to fix a story that was never yours to carry. So if you're still here, if this journey has resonated, I want you to say it out loud or comment it below. I reclaim my energy. Let it be more than a phrase. Let it be a contract with yourself. A declaration that this version of you is the one who stays. Because this is what it means to come home, not to a person, not to the past, but to yourself. And once you're home, no one can pull you out of it again. This is your daily motivation now, not to chase peace, but to embody it. Not to fight for freedom, but to live like you already have it. Because you do. You're free, and your stillness is the proof. This wasn't just about recognizing narcissistic behavior. It was about remembering your power. Because the real shift doesn't happen when they change. It happens when you do. When you stop reacting and start responding. When you stop performing and start being. That's the essence of healing. And that's what mindset motivation truly is. Not hype, not perfection, but the daily discipline of choosing presence over panic, clarity over chaos, and truth over approval. You've learned that silence can be stronger than shouting, that boundaries don't always need explanations, and that your nervous system is the foundation of your freedom. You no longer need to win the conversation, you just need to stay rooted in your reality. So, here's your next